Hello first year, it's Mrs McInnes here. In today's lesson we are going to be looking at some revision work on our topic of fractions. So your learning intention for today is quite simply to revise the topic of fractions for your upcoming assessment. So in particular we are going to have a look over how we simplify fractions, how we find equivalent fractions, and then lastly how we find a fraction of an amount. So to start with, we will go over simplifying fractions. So the rule here for this is really simple. All we are looking to do is to divide the top and the bottom of your fraction by the same number until you cannot divide it down any further. Once you've divided it down and it can't go down any further, it is fully simplified. So all we're really trying to do here is think, what times table do both of the numbers in the fraction come into? So the first one you've got there is 10 over 15. So you want to think to yourself, which times table are 10 and 15 both in? Okay, so they both divide by 5. So quite often it's helpful just to write beside what you're actually dividing by, okay? So if we do 10 divided by 5, we get 2 on the top, and then 15 divided by 5, we get 3 on the bottom. Okay, 2 and 3, there's nothing else you can divide them both by, so that would be that fully simplified, alright? The second one, we have 12 over 14, so we want to think, what times table are 12 and 14 both in? What can they both be divided by? So these both divide by 2, okay? So on the top, 12 divided by 2 gives you 6. On the bottom, 14 divided by 2 would give you 7. And then just check quickly, is there anything else I could divide 6 and 7 both by? No, there isn't. So that question is fully simplified. Now the next two are slightly bigger numbers, so just take your time to think what you could divide them by. So for C, we've got 18 over 30. So you want to think what they both divide by, or what times table they're both in. Now what you might be able to do is say, okay, well, 18 and 30, they both divide by 6. And you could divide it by 6. If it's quite a big number, you can also go for something smaller to divide it by and do it in more than one step. So for example, if you couldn't think that they are both in the 6 times table, but for example, you could say, well, they both divide by 2, you can do that first, okay? So 18 divided by 2 would give you 9, 30 divided by 2 would give you 15, and then you could divide that down again, okay? So 9 and 15, they both divide by 3. So you could do a second simplify. So 9 divided by 3 gives you 3. 15 divided by 3 gives you 5, okay? So if you need to do it in more than one step, that's absolutely fine. You can do it like that, okay? But if you did the divide by 6, first of all, I'll just quickly write that in and show you that you'll get the same answer. So if you were able to say, well, they both divide by 6, 18 divided by 6 is 3, 30 divided by 6 is 5. That's the same answer as before, alright? Now the last one, we've got 18 over 27. So again, you could try and think what's the biggest number they both divide by. So these both divide by 9, so we could do that. They also both divide by 3. So you could do a 3 and then you'd probably have to divide it down again. But I'm just going to go for dividing by 9 straight away, because you always want to try and do the biggest number that you can, just to make the work a bit quicker to get through. So 18 divided by 9 is 2, 27 divided by 9 is 3. Alright. So next we will have a look at equivalent fractions, and really this is almost the opposite of your simplifying. So the first one, we've got 3 over 5 and then something missing on the top over 30, and it's this number here that we're trying to work out what it is, okay? So all we have to do is say, okay, well, we know the bottom number of each fraction, so 5 and 30. What could we times 5 by to get to 30? Well, 5 times 6 is going to give me 30. And we always need to do the same to the top and the bottom of our fractions. So if we've multiplied the bottom by 6, we should do the same on the top. So 3 times 6 will give you 18. So 18 is the missing number there. So 3 over 5 is equivalent to 18 over 30. So in a sense, if you were to simplify down 18 over 30, you would come back down to 3 over 5, okay? So it's almost just the reverse of your simplifying. For B, we've got 7 over 10 equals 14 over blank. Okay, so the top numbers are the ones we have for both. So we need to say, well, 7 times what gives me 14? Well, it'd be times 2. So we'll just do the same on the bottom. 10 times 2 will give us 20 there. For C, we've got 2 over 3 equals blank over 18. So again, it's the bottoms that we have that match up. So 3 times what is 18? 3 times 6 will give you 18. So we do the same on the top. 2 times 6 on the top to get 12. Okay. And our last one there, we have 4 over 5 equals 12 over blank. So again, this one, it's the 2 tops that we have. So we work out 4 times what is 12? Well, that will be times 3. So we do the same on the bottom, times 3. 5 times 3 will give you 15. Okay, so always make sure that you're doing the same process to the top and the bottom of your fractions, okay? Now, the last thing to go over with you is finding a fraction of an amount, okay? So your first 2 fractions here, I've chosen 1 over something, okay? That's your more pink level questions. And then C and D are more your yellow, purple questions where it's a non-unitary fraction. So it's basically not a 1 on the top. So your first one is 1/4 of 20. Now the rule for finding a fraction of something is we divide by the bottom number and then multiply by the top number. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do 20 divided by the bottom number. So 20 divided by 4, which is equal to 5. And then we times that answer by your top number. So 5 times 1 is just still 5. So 5 would be your answer there. For B, it's going to be a similar process. So 1 over 5, 1/5 of 35. So we're going to do 35 divided by the bottom number. So divided by 5, that's going to give you 7. And then we take that answer and times that by the top. So 7 times 1 is then just 7. So what you'll notice here with these two is that the multiply is times 1. And that doesn't really change your answer. In fact, it doesn't change your answer. So you can really just do the divide by the bottom number. Okay, but if you want to remember it as divide by the bottom times by the top and write in that bit of working of times 1 anyway, then just do that, okay? For C, we've got 3/10 of 120. So 120 divided by the bottom number, so divided by 10 is going to give us 12. And then we times that answer, so the 12 times the top number, so times 3. So 12 times 3 is 36. Okay, and then the last one, I've just tried to choose a bigger number here. So 4/5 of 145. So we'll do 145 divided by the bottom number. Okay, now something like this, you might want to write out a little division sum if it's too hard to do in your head. Okay, so 145 divided by 5. So 5 into 1 doesn't go. 5 into 14 is 2. Remainder 4. 5 into 45 is 9. So 29. And then your times in that answer. So 29 times the top number. So times 4. So again, if you need to do a little bit of working for this, then that's what you do. Okay, so 4 times 9, 36. Carry your 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Add your 3. 11, so 116. Okay, so more for the sort of yellow purples, the fraction questions might just be bigger numbers, and if you have to do the working by hand, then that's what you do. It's all good numeracy practice for you. Okay, so what I would like you to do for your lesson today is the fractions revision worksheet that I have created and printed for you. There is a section on each of those 3 areas in the worksheet. You can pick and choose what you want to do, okay? If you want to particularly work on something, that's fine. The answers are all at the bottom of the worksheet for you to check your work as you go as well. All right. If you need any help, please make sure you ask the teacher that is available and make sure that we're doing lots of revision ahead of our assessment.